Resident Evil Afterlife is the fourth film in the franchise. It's mostly set in a prison, which is fitting since watching this series feels like serving time. You know the drill, her name is Alice, but this one came out after the 3D revival, so I hope you like objects flying towards the camera in slow motion. Welcome everyone to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tim.
This movie's got more Alice's than a Tim Burton Wonderland movie.
I want everyone to know that Tim messaged me a few hours ago and said, I've got a joke for the intro, and he was very excited about it. That was it.
All right, I think we can call it a day. No need to go much further.
I sat through Resident Evil Afterlife. There's no way I'm not voicing my displeasure, Tim. Okay? Not a chance. Yes, this is a horror movie podcast. We get to go talk about a horror movie, and today we're returning, sadly, to the Resident Evil movie franchise with number 4, which is Resident Evil Afterlife. Something I had to check like 5 times to make sure I was watching the right movie, because the titles are very interchangeable, and you know, Afterlife, Extinction, Retribution, they all just kind of blur together in one hot mess. But that's what we're going to talk about. We'll start spoiler free as we always do. We'll give you a warning before we go into the spoilers, and if you're enjoying the show on YouTube, please do hit the like button. It helps out a bunch. If you do, you can give us 5 stars in your podcast app, and of course, if you want to support the show and help keep it coming, you can do that over at Patreon or via YouTube membership, but I'll tell you more about that at the end of the episode. So, yes, to sum up, we're both big fans of the games, we have both hated the previous 3 movies, and we're here for round 4. And I remember saying last time that, oh, I'm surprised Alice didn't say my name is Alice at the start, because I feel like I remembered her doing that a lot. She said it twice in this movie, though, so she's making up for lost time. She said it at the start in her opening narration, and she said it again, and admittedly a more natural sort of point, because she was literally telling someone she was talking to her name. But still, it's her catchphrase, and I will not pop for it, but I will groan at it whenever it happens. Yes.
Yeah.
So
what a catchphrase. I'm Alice.
So had you seen this one before, Tim? Was this one ringing any bells when you watched it?
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, I thought the opening bit I thought seemed a little familiar, and then like everything else was like totally foreign to me. So maybe I like, if this was streaming at some point, maybe I threw it on and like 5 minutes in was like, never mind. What was I thinking?
Yeah, that's fair. This one's mostly set in a prison. After it spends 5-10 minutes like just sort of like dealing with a cliffhanger from the end of the last one, it does that in 10 minutes, and then that's over, and then they have to set up what this movie's actually going to be, and then it does that. And just like the last movie, a bunch of thin characters, a bunch of really just try hard like dialogue that doesn't really work. Like there's so much of the characters saying things like I don't know, like just lines that are overwritten to be as dumbed down as humanly possible. Like where, like, I'm not saying this happens in the movie, right? I'm not saying it happens. I'm not trying to spoil anything. But let's say, Tim, you reunited with your long lost sister, right? And you said, "Hey, you," and she stares at you blankly, right? You probably wouldn't immediately go, "It's me, your brother, remember?" Why would you assume she's forgotten who you are? That doesn't make any... I mean, we know she's got amnesia. In theory. I'm not saying that happens. But maybe it does. But more on that later. But that's just one example. There were so many examples of just like these lines of dialogue where someone just states something out loud. It's like, this didn't need to be said. It's just like you're just trying to force like extra dramatic lines or cool lines of dialogue where they say something that Paul W.S. Anderson thinks is badass. And as the more I watch these movies, the more it's becoming apparent that he has the taste of an 11-year-old boy and has never evolved beyond that.
Now, was this his triumphant return? Like he didn't do the last one, did he?
He worked on the script for the last two, but this is his return to the director's chair. So he's had his hand in all of them, but this is his return to directing. Yes.
Maybe he was like furious that they forgot to say "I'm Alice" in the last one. He's like, God damn it! Like, get me back in there. I gotta do it myself.
You have to say my wife's second name, right? It's important to me that her name is said properly. Tim, remember how in the last movie, they said that the world's... Let me finish. They said that the world's turned into a desert, and they literally did a shot of the Earth where you could see that the entirety of North America was now desert. Like, it transitioned from what it looks like normally to all orangey, deserty sand color, right? Entire continent. Mm-hmm. After the opening 10 minutes, which is obviously a separate thing, the first thing we see in this movie, Tim, do you know what we see? A forest. We see a forest, and we see snow, and we see... Not desert is the point I'm getting at, Tim. It's not desert.
Nature is healing.
Nature's healing. It's wild to me that they went out of their way in the last one to really try and hit home this idea that everything's now Mad Max looking, and it's such a cell phone, because see if they just if they never said that specific part, if they just sort of like implied, okay, we're in like Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, and that's all desert now because that's very deserty anyway, that would make sense. Other parts of the world will look like what they normally look like once nature overgrows and takes back the land and whatnot, but they didn't. They showed me satellite views of the entire planet looking like a desert. And in this movie, opens up with, here's a forest with snow on the tips and all that. I'm like, piss off, movie. Like, you're not even trying for any consistency. It's a sad state of affairs. Anyway, yeah, I'm trying to think of anything is spoiler free. I guess I'll say that this is the one that came out in 2010. It's a year after Resident Evil 5, and apparently Paul W.S. Anderson really liked Resident Evil 5 because he has a lot of RE5 stuff in this. Like, the plot's nothing like RE5, of course, but there's a lot of enemies and like just visuals from RE5, some ideas from RE5 sprinkled throughout. So we'll talk about them when we get into spoilers properly. But there's a lot of that.
Well, I mean, I guess you haven't really asked me proper yet, but I will say I did not care for this movie.
You did not care for it, really? Because it's dog shit, that's why.
Yeah. I guess if I'm going to give it some type of bare minimum compliment, is I will say I liked it better than the last one. I mean, like you were saying, I mean, yes, it is stupid that it feels like they basically just completely ignored the last one, like in terms of, oh yeah, like everything is just kind of back to normal now or whatever. But I mean, I do appreciate something like this more than like a weird Mad Max version of whatever the hell they were trying to do. I guess that's about as far as I can go, though. I mean, obviously it still has all the stuff that we can complain about in the previous movies. Yeah, like you're saying, I think juvenile is like a good way to describe these. Yeah, it just feels like the director is just constantly going like, well, it would be cool if she did this and this and that. And then, I just do
a backflip in slow motion. Yeah. Let's do this in slow motion. Let's do that in slow motion.
And it really is funny. Like, I don't think I'll ever get over the fact that, like, the movie is just trying so hard to get you to like this character, and I think we mentioned it before in like other episodes, but it's like like I don't know if like you not as like familiar like with The Simpsons or whatever, but I forget if we like made the comparison in previous episodes where like it feels like a Poochie thing from that episode where
Tim, we absolutely did. Your memory is shocking. Yes, we did.
No, it's bad. Yeah. But no, it definitely is like the Poochie thing where it's like, yeah, all the other characters are just constantly like, where's Alice? Or like, hey, it's Alice. And you know that she was pissed when, hypothetically, let's say she meets a character that doesn't remember her, and she's like, it's me, Alice. Like, she has to be pissed because it's like, come on, people usually love me. What are you doing? But yeah, even when they do try to like sprinkle stuff from the games, it is done so bad, and yeah, it just feels like it doesn't even feel like there's like love for the games of this. It feels like they're just like, well, I guess if we have to put something in there for the fans, I guess we can. But yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's not like, I mean, given that they're taking a lot from 5 in this one, not everything they can take from 5 is actually good to begin with. Like, Resident Evil 5, the video game, has bad stuff in it. So it's not like, I'm happy to see all the things, even if in the context of it being presented authentically, which none of it is, of course. It's all, through this, weird Paul W.S. Anderson vision lens, There's a filter to it.
It's like, when you were playing Resident Evil 5 for the first time, I don't know if you remember this, but was that the first time where you're like, oh, maybe this series isn't bulletproof? Maybe they can make mistakes.
I mean, it's not like there wasn't faults before. Like, it's not like Zero was a perfect game.
Sure, that's true,
there was like kinks in the armor for sure. But I mean, 5 was still at least enjoyable to play for the most part. So it wasn't like a complete like travesty, but it definitely went into like really silly territory, right? All of a sudden Wesker's zooming about like he's the Flash and stuff like that, and then the punching boulders and whatever else. Like there definitely is where it started to tip over, and then 6 obviously completely and utterly just took everything that was wrong with 5 and cranked it all up to 1,000,000. So 6 is just a complete and utter travesty of an experience.
Yeah, like, at least 5, it still had fun enough gameplay, and then, yeah, there was stuff that was silly and over the top, but at least that stuff is kind of, like, I guess funny in, like, a meme kind of way. Like, yeah, like, Chris punching the boulder, yeah, like, it's like, okay, like, we can kind of laugh about that now. 6, there's, like, nothing like that you can at least have fun with or whatever. We did, we played through or most of 6, and... Oh, that was a rough go.
Yeah, not a fun time. But the thing is though, is that this doesn't even work as a cheesy movie because it's like trying too hard to be that. Like every time it tries to do like a cheesy moment where like they've got like Wesker saying like a gravelly line where he's like, there's a scene early on in the movie where like a scientist like basically just questions an order. Doesn't even like refuse to do it. He just suggests that maybe it's not a good idea, and Wesker just pulls out a gun and shoots him in the head and goes, "Is there any more questions?" to like anyone else in the room, and it's just so unbelievably cheesy, like to the point of like it's not fun. This is like someone trying to make The Room. You can't try to make The Room. You have to just believe in the room in a weird way.
I will say there was one part that actually did get a chuckle out of me. I'm not sure if it was like super intentional or whatever. But like there are some characters, they're like waiting on the roof and they basically just watch, someone leave. And like as they're watching, like, they kind of just stand there for like a few seconds and then like a zombie starts like running up behind them and they just very casually like just turn around and shoot it and then like turn back like it's like, oh, like no big deal or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but that gave me a little chuckle.
Hard to say. I will say, like you were saying, how they're just standing there. There's actually a lot of scenes in this movie where I was getting frustrated that characters would be like acting as if they've got something important to do, but then they'd just kind of be standing there. Like, there's a scene where it's like Claire and this probably the main new guy, Luther, who's introduced in this one. Like they go up to a gate because the executioner from RE5 is like start trying to get in. So they're like, "Hey, come on, let's go over here, Luther." And they run up to it, and then they just stand there staring like, "What do we do now?" And like every so often it cuts back to them with like pounding music playing like da 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 da, right? And every time I'm like, they're not doing it. They're just watching pretty much as like things play out. Like they're this is like the opposite of proactive. It's like they're trying to pretend that the characters are useful and doing something to like alleviate their situation, and all they're doing standing there and occasionally yelling, "Come on, do this. Do that. Do something. What are we going to do?" Like that's it. It's like it's completely empty and hollow. Even just on the simplest level. I'm not even saying like character depth. I'm not even talking about character arcs, or I'm not talking about themes or anything like that, which would be obviously good to have those things. But I'm talking about just on the simple premise of the actions the characters are taking. They're still just kind of like, you know how when you're forced to go to like choir when you're in school and you just sort of mime because you don't actually want to sing because you can't be bothered. That's what the characters in this movie are doing. They're just kind of pretending they're in a zombie movie, and they're barely actually trying to be in a zombie movie. It's really frustrating just how non-committal everything in this movie is. And then here's another slow motion shot of Alice doing a backflip or a spin kick or jumping through the air and kicking something or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. This like type of action is just so overdone, and it just feels lifeless. Like, even, I don't know, like when they're pointing and shooting the guns, like it doesn't feel like there's any like,
oh, you mean when they're standing still and just shooting guns?
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, like the actors themselves like seem bored, like, you know, like there's just like there's nothing to it. I think hollow is a great way to explain it. It's still baffling to me that, like, I don't know, there was a fan base or whatever to these movies.
I mean, I don't know if fan base is even the right word. Obviously enough people went to go see them as a dumb time at the movies, but like the people who even liked them and went to see them because they thought they were dumb or they thought there was some level of entertaining, like, do any of those people actually love them now? Like, do they love them in the same way that, you know, Alien has a fan base or Die Hard has a fan base? Like, I doubt it.
Yeah, that's a good question, and like I'm wondering too, like, did these actually make like a lot of money, or was it just like, well, they were made pretty cheaply, and then it made enough back.
It's relative,
successful enough to keep going.
I think it's all relative to the cost of making them, which I think they were relatively cheap.
Yeah, and there was like, I mean, I know 2010 is, I guess, pretty long ago. You know, it doesn't necessarily feel long ago in my old age, but there were scenes in this movie that I was like, this looks horrible. Like, like a lot of the scenes, with Alice like jumping up or like flying through the air, I was like, dear Lord, this is bad.
Well, on top of that, this is also 2010, so this is right in the 3D era boom of like, we're making movies for 3D. And of course, this is exactly the sort of franchise that'll try and capitalize. So we get a lot of, like, you know, throwing things at the camera, whether it be daggers or stars or grenades or throwing a gun to another character, for example, and we'll get a shot of it coming right at the camera. There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, I didn't notice it like throughout the whole movie, but it was really egregious, like in the opening scene where it was just constantly stuff being thrown at you.
Yeah,
the knives are coming at me, sunglasses are coming at me. Well, actually, I think that was the end.
Sunglasses were to the end, but same idea.
Alice is coming at me. Yeah,
that's the scariest of them all. It's I don't know. It's a very tedious movie to get through. I mean, it's like 95 minutes, and it's still, I wouldn't say it feels like super long per se, because it doesn't have enough plot to feel like it's like taking space over enough time. But that's also part of the problem, is that the characters in this are so thin, and I actually couldn't believe just how quickly it throws some of them away. Some of them, which feel like they're technically prominent, just they're kind of like grabbed and they're gone like very quickly with no build up or like dramatic moments about it or anything like that. It just kind of feels like, I mean, I guess it's going to seem like a really mean thing to say, but it really just feels like someone who has no effing talent and doesn't know how to write a script making a movie. Like I'm just going to say it. Paul W.S. Anderson does not know jack shit about actually making a movie, right? Certainly not writing one anyway.
I can't really argue.
Yeah. Garbage, as we often like to say on this show.
It's a definition of garbage. It's it's not even like, it's like the special kind of garbage that's at the bottom of the can, that's like kind of wet and got stuck there, and it's like you really don't want to, reach in and grab it because it's just so gross. So you just let it sit there and fester and mold and rot until it, just releases a noxious chemical that, just puts you to sleep forever.
Very good, very good. So I guess we'll do spoilers then for Resident Evil Afterlife if you happen to care. But you shouldn't, for the record. It's terrible, so you should not care. But spoilers from this point on, you have been warned. So, okay, I need... Like, the first thing I want to talk about, okay?
Okay.
The coincidence. The astronomical coincidence that Claire Redfield in this movie, and we'll go back and talk about the earlier stuff, but they just happened to run in a post-apocalyptic movie where 90-something% of the population is dead. She just runs into her brother in a different city. What? Chris Redfield's here, right? From the character from the games, played by what's his face? Wentworth Miller. Yeah, who's pretty terrible as an actor, if I'm honest, and he's wildly miscast as Chris, so that's an issue in and of itself. It's also an issue that they introduce him in like this cage in the prison, and they're like, oh, he must be really bad because this is the only one that was still here. Like, the guards let everyone else out when the apocalypse happened, but they left him in here. And he claims that he was just put in here kind of by accident or whatever, but he's so menacing with the way he says everything while he's in this jail cell. It's like, of course they don't believe you. You're talking like a serial killer. But then there's no like progression afterwards where he earns trust. He's just fine once he gets out, and there's never any story built around the fact that he was in the prison or anything. Like, it's another great example of Paul W.S. Anderson just like doing nothing with a character. Like, what? So you've established this mistrust for whatever reason, and that's very much not Chris from the games. Chris from the games is the hard-edged, like, goody two-shoes, like, I'll do anything to save everyone type character. But forgetting that for a second and just focusing on what you introduced in this movie, why did we spend this time building up this intrigue of like, oh, can we trust him? Is he, it felt like they were wanting him to be like Riddick from Pitch Black, like, oh, he's kind of the criminal, but we're going to need his help because he's a badass or something.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And like, no, once he's out, it's like there's like one moment where Alice like hands him a gun and he's like, "You're going to trust me with a gun?" It's like, sure, why not? And then he takes it. And I feel like that's like that's the reasoning for every decision in the script. Sure, why not? Sure, why not? Sure, why not? Sure, why not? Go F yourself, Paul.
Yeah, I really didn't know much about this movie going in, so I was very surprised. Well, I maybe not very surprised, but I was surprised that Chris was in this movie. Which I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised because like after the first movie, they always kind of pepper in people from the game throughout it, even though they, just look like weird like fan film castings. Like they don't really feel like the characters at all. I might disagree with you a tad. I could kind of see, I mean, he would need obviously a better script and directing and stuff, but I could maybe see Wentworth playing Chris in a different kind of movie. I don't think he's like a good actor, but I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking too much of like, the original game where, the voice actors weren't, necessarily the best, or at least,
Yeah, but the original game though, all that acting is way more entertaining than anything in any of these movies. Like these movies, like because they're trying to be kind of cheesy, just come off as really weird and forced. I'll take the acting in that original game over any of this any day of the week.
And one thing I will say is kind of funny is, I associate Wentworth Miller, with Prison Break. Did you ever watch that show? Or
I saw the first couple seasons. Yeah.
So his brother in it. Is it Dominic Purcell? Is that the actor that?
Yeah, sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just funny because I also like just the other day watched a movie that he was in that was also really bad. So it just kind of made me laugh. I was like, oh, I've seen both the Prison Break guys, which the movie was Blade Trinity for those that are curious. But did you ever see that one? Or
I did. I mean, I saw it once like a year after it came out, so it's been 20 years or something like that. But yeah,
I mean, I haven't seen it forever. I was just watching because a podcast I like was talking about it, so I was like, yeah, I'll throw this on. And oof, yeah, it is a mess. Is it as bad as this? I don't know. They're both pretty terrible. It might be kind of hard to say.
Damning statements.
Yeah. Want to go and talk? Start at the beginning.
Yeah, start at the beginning is a good idea. So the whole start of this, well, first of all, there's a grotesquely long slow motion scene of a woman in Japan standing in the rain as she turns into a zombie and then starts to infect everyone else around her. That's what happens, but it takes like 5 minutes to happen because we're just watching like the rain drip down her face as she's like slowly starting to act a bit weird and so on. Which I did remember this for some reason, because it just takes so much time at the start of this. I just always remembered this, but I didn't know it was from this one specifically. I just kind of was like, oh, this is the one with the Japanese lady turn into a zombie. Very good.
Now, I mean, we've already established my memory is terrible, but I can't remember. Did we even get that much Wesker in the last movie?
We got a Wesker in the last movie. It was a different actor. And he was kind of there via hologram giving orders to the scientist dude. And then the movie ended with Alice saying, "I'm coming for you, Wesker."
Okay. All right, yeah, so that sounds familiar. And then, was that the first time we saw him, or was he in the second movie?
No, the last one was the first time.
Okay. Yeah, because, I don't know, it feels very weird to start this movie on what kind of feels like a big, like, epic battle, like, oh, like, here's a cliffhanger from the last one, this epic showdown that, you know, you've been waiting for. But again, it's like, yeah, Wesker really hasn't felt like he's been a presence in these movies. And I mean, obviously, you know, we know he's like this big bad from the game and everything, but I don't know, if you just like watching these movies as they are, it's kind of like, okay, like, why are we supposed to, you know, think this is such a big deal? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was more just, I mean, I agree with you, but like, I was just more kind of like distracted by the fact that they found a way in like 5 minutes to kill off all of the Alice clones, so it was just the one Alice again, because they didn't want to actually
Right.
keep that for the whole movie. And I'm like, why did you put yourself in a corner then, where that was the setup for the next one? Like, that just, you know, so we get this sequence where like all the Alices are coming into the Umbrella Tokyo headquarters that are underground, just like the Hive from the first movie, and we get the same shitty map kind of view of it and all that, and we get a lot of Alice's jumping at them, doing you know, because I think it's one at first, like, comes in, does some flips and shoots and stabs and whatnot. She gets gunned down, and then 3 more Alices show up, and they all get cocky and start doing more killing, and they all come after Wesker, who's like killing his own men and doing whatever.
There's just like that one like scene that's, I don't know, supposed to be like this like big epic cool shot or whatever that has like, you know, 3 Alices like all next to each other. It looked so bad. Like, you know, you could just tell it's like, oh yeah, this is just like, you know, you film one person then green screen the others in and stuff. It's like it looks terrible.
Yeah. Which it was always going to be that. It's not like there's 3 Milla Jovoviches to film at the same time,
Right,
but it shouldn't look as obvious as this.
I mean, obviously, you know, it came much later and it's a much better director, but I mean, if you look at like, you know, Sinners, when you have, you know, Michael B. Jordan playing 2 different characters and it's like seamless, you know, which I mean, obviously 2 extremely different, you know, movies to compare, but still it's just funny that, yeah, like how much better that is, you know, versus this.
Yeah, the whole thing leads to like a Wesker escaping in a plane, but the real Alice, the Alice Prime or whatever you want to call her, is waiting on the plane, and she makes the plane crash or whatever, and it results in this like ultra slow mo shot as they're both flying as the plane impacts. You see her like flying through the air in slow motion, and same with him. She seems to survive. He apparently does not, but obviously, you know, Wesker T-virus, he's going to be back later. Let's not worry about that. But this effectively ends our opening 10-minute, like, big action set piece to get rid of all the other Alices, like, you know, like, because the place blew up with all the other Alices inside. Some of them were killed, some of them blew up, but she's the only one left. Now it's just back to one Alice. Hallie, effing you, yeah.
and seemingly the entire city of Tokyo as well.
I mean, it was full of zombies, so I don't know if it's
Yeah, sure.
it's just Raccoon City 2.0 at that point, I guess. If you remember in the last movie, they were looking for this like sanctuary. They heard over the radio in Alaska, and the other characters flew off there. And we get a little flashback with Alice where she sort of remembers like seeing them off in the helicopter. And I was laughing because we do actually eventually see Kmart again in this movie, but I was wondering if they got the actress back because we see her in this little flashback, but when they show bits later on of like more of this helicopter stuff where the guys come up to them and take them, you only see her from behind, and I was like, oh, did they not get her back? Are they like playing around the fact that they only have Ali Larter back from the last movie? But she is eventually there, so that wasn't the case. But I was thinking that for a bit.
It actually did make me laugh quite a bit because when she does come back, I forget if she's saying it or someone else is saying it, but like someone kept saying Kmart, and I'm like, why are they saying Kmart? And I was like, oh yeah, that I forgot that's her incredibly stupid name.
Yep. So Alice goes to this location, finds a helicopter, but it's just like an airfield with a bunch of planes and stuff that have been abandoned. But she runs into a mad woman who's trying to kill her, and then she flips her over after defending herself. It turns out to be Claire Redfield. And she has the red scarab thing on her chest from Resident Evil 5, which is a mind control type thing that was introduced in that game. It was a stupid concept in the game, and it's just here out of nowhere in this movie. So she pulls it off of her, of course, and ties her up. And then Claire wakes up, and she's kind of freaking out. And Alice is like, hey, do you remember me? My name is Alice, blah, 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 blah. And Claire clearly doesn't. She's got amnesia. And this brings me back to one of my recurring complaints with these movies. This movie and the last movie are especially bad for this, is that it sets this up. She's got amnesia. She doesn't know if she can trust her, and so on and so on. Cut to them in a plane. Like, Alice is flying a little biplane with Claire in the back. Her hands are still tied together. And there's a scene where Claire's like, I don't really remember, but could you like, cut this rope off or whatever? And she's like, no, I think we better get to know each other first. It's like, okay, fine. We've not we're not at that point. We've got an arc to have here. We've got like, do they like learn to trust each other again, or maybe Claire needs to get more of her memories back? They're going to do something, with this, right? Cut to a few shots of them flying around. They get to a city where they see some people on a roof, and that's where the prison is, and they're going to land there. And before they land, Alice is like, you better hold on tight. And Claire says, well, that'd be easier if I had my hands free. And she's like, yeah, you're right. Here's a knife. Cut the ropes. And she's like, thanks. And I'm like, wait, that was it? That was like, you just did a scene explaining they're not ready to have that trust, only to just immediately do it in the very, very next scene with them in the same location in this plane. I couldn't believe just how, like, and it's not that I was into the idea of the amnesia plot. In fact, I hated it. but if you're going to set something up and do something with it where they have to learn to trust each other again, at least go through with it. But honestly, like, Claire's memory loss is just like, she still acts like her, right? As soon as they're on the prison and they're doing stuff in there, she's just acting herself, as she always does. It does not matter that she has amnesia. The only part that it really affects is that she doesn't know who her goddamn brother is when she sees him. And I don't even know if there's a good payoff to that, where she's like, you know what, Chris, I remember you, brother. Ah, yes, I'm so happy I found you, my brother. And that never really happens. It's there's nothing comes of this amnesia bullshit.
No, I mean, there's really no reason for it. It's funny, that scene you're mentioning when they're on the plane, there's a weird like delivery to it when Alice is like, yeah, maybe we should get to know each other a little better. But like, she kind of says it and then has a little smile like it's a joke, and then they cut to Claire, who kind of gives like a little smirk like, that's pretty funny. But I'm like, it's not a joke. Like, what? Like, why are they acting like, they just said something witty or something? Also, I just want to shout out, like, I hated all like the dumb like narration that Alice is doing, like when she's like searching, like she's doing this like diary in her head or whatever, like, day 27, like, the world's a cold, bitter place. No survivors, are around. And it's like, shut the it's so stupid.
I mean, two things. One, you could have just had it so that when she pulled the scarab off, as soon as Claire wakes up, she has her memories. Like, there's really no reason for the amnesia part of it, especially since it doesn't really factor into anything with her decisions or anything she does with any other characters for the rest of the movie. It does not matter. So it's a pointless thing. Point number two I want to make here is when they get towards the city where the prison is, and we get this landscape shot of the city and we see what it looks like. Why is there so many fires? As if like bombs have just went off. It's like they straight up say at the start of the movie it's been 4 years since the apocalypse. Why would there still be fires as if it's just been hit with missiles? I don't understand.
That's a great question. The zombies got they developed a taste for cooked meat.
Apparently so, but it's like dozens and dozens of fires that have these big, thick, black smoke, plumes going out of the sky, and it's like, this looks like it's just been hit in a war raid, like an airplane war raid. And no, it's been years. Why would there still be this many little fires?
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. And then, so I must have completely missed this. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but are they in Los Angeles at that point?
I actually don't know. Like, there's a character who's supposed to be a movie producer, and there's a woman who says she came to like Hollywood to be an actress, but I'll be honest, I thought they were like much further north than that.
Well, so here's like my confusion, because I thought the whole thing, and like they said in the last movie, is that they were going to look for this sanctuary in Alaska. So I thought that, when Alice runs into Claire, I assumed that was like somewhere in Alaska, because she was going to try to meet up.
That is Alaska. Okay. Unconditional. That is Alaska. They're in.
Okay, so then they meet up, and then I assume that they end up going to this city that is somewhere in the Alaskan area. I guess I got confused because I was like looking over the Wikipedia, and it says like, and then they end up at a prison in Los Angeles. I was like, they did? Did I completely miss that?
Well, like, Alice does say that she's going to fly down the West Coast, right? She's like, I'm going to go past, Vancouver. I'm going to go past, Seattle and down to like San Francisco, and then presumably LA eventually. I never got that they went that far though. I thought they get stopped somewhere along the way until characters started talking about the fact that they're actors or producers, and I went, oh, okay, I guess we're in Hollywood or thereabouts. That's fair enough.
that's so bizarre, and it just I don't know, it feels like so strange that like the movie is just like going, I don't know, it just feels like it's traveling like really far. Like why would you not just like have it set like in the Alaskan area where you're supposed to be going at the end of the last movie? Like, why go to this completely new area, which I don't know, if they're going in that small plane, like I feel like those don't have like a ton of fuel, right? Like,
oh no, she must have stopped and refueled like countless times to get down there.
On those I don't know, it's just weird that it's like I just not really have any trouble finding airplane fuel or whatever, but I mean, I guess small quibble. But then it also makes it even that more egregious, like you're saying before, that she just coincidentally runs into her brother like thousands of miles away, It would have made sense.
And again, with most people on the planet dead, like somehow they're both still alive and find each other. Like, it's like, this isn't bumping into each other at the store when you both regularly visit the same store. This is astronomical coincidence, this.
Like, it could have made sense if they were still both trying to find the sanctuary in Alaska or whatever. And like, last time we met, we told each other we would meet up here or whatever. But again, it's just like, insane, the odds. And it is like bizarre how like big a character Chris is, and how they, like you're saying before, they just really don't do like any legwork to explain why he's there, what his motivations are. Like again, you're supposed to know him because he's from the game, but it's the movie is not doing anything to tell you why this character matters or is important. It's, I don't know, it's really bizarre.
No, no. And even what it sets up, it doesn't really do anything with. And that goes for just about everything in the movie. I mean, the only thing it really does anything with is that there's the one character who's already in there. So there's a group of characters in the prison. One of them's named Bennett, and he's like the sleazy movie producer. He is set up as an asshole, and he does betray people later on. So that is, at the very least, that's the one character I feel like pays off what they set up with him. Whereas everyone else, you know, because he just kills like the angel, who's like the Hispanic guy. He's like set up as like a main character. He just like dies immediately out of nowhere when Bennett betrays them. There's the one lady who even actually the one lady here, who was her name? Was it like Heather? Some of that? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Anyway, she like, I feel like when the plane was coming in and the characters that we're seeing, which was like basically Luther, Bennett, Angel, and then like Bennett's got like an Asian guy who's his like assistant or something. It's the four guys, and they're waving it down and they're pushing things out of the way when they realize that Alice is going to try and land on the roof. So that she's got a long enough runway, as it were. And I feel like after like this big sequence of her like coming in to try and land the plane, and she just like she's tipping over the edge once it slows down, and like Luther runs up and like jumps in the back of the plane to like weigh it back down on that side to keep it up top, and they pull it back and they get them out safely. I feel like as they're pushing the plane, all of a sudden there's a woman helping push the plane. And I'm like, who is she? I hadn't seen her until this shot. And it's just, no, she's just with this group, which is fine, but it just felt like a weird way to see her for the first time. Like she wasn't in any of the establishing shots with these characters, at least that I could remember. I mean, maybe I missed her. It's entirely possible, but she's there. And she was someone who moved to LA to become an actress, but was only a waitress, yada, yada, yada. Same old stick. She's another character who just dies off like instantly with no build up. Like she just, like they make a whole deal of like, hey, we have to swim to this location. She's like, oh, I'm a accomplished swimmer. I was like really good at swimming in school and stuff, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as they get out of the water on the other end, just, nope, zombie gets her. Pulled out of the water. That's her gone. Like, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Most movies like this, most zombie movies even, to get really specific, the good ones, is they'll give the character enough development so that by the time they do get killed, even if it's very sudden, you feel like, oh, they set up enough that I feel like we've really lost someone there. Whereas this does not do that, right? The characters, when they die, they've barely shown what they're capable of, or even started to kind of like show what they can contribute or anything like that. I don't know. It's almost every death in this movie made me annoyed. Just how inept it was, like mattering, because they treated every character like a red shirt, right? Even Luther, who arguably is the second lead of this movie, he feels like he's got more screen time. He's more important than either Chris or Claire. He is the main second character of this film. And he doesn't actually end up dying. It turns out that he's alive at the end, but he just gets grabbed by zombies and pulled into like a pipe that they've been crawling through, and they're like, oh, that's him gone. And I thought, well, that was so sudden, but I think he's probably still alive, which probably means he's going to show up and like save the day, by the end of the movie. No, we just see that he's alive. He just kind of walks out the pipe and he's there, which almost makes you feel like, well, I guess they want to keep him alive for the next one. Now, my memory's not really good here, but I'm going to place a bet. I don't think he's in the next movie, Tim. I think they did this for absolutely no reason, because he's not there. At least I remember. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do not remember him being in the fifth one at all.
Or, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he is in it, if he'll just kind of get killed off pretty quickly, because they've been doing that in this movie, like, in this series.
I don't think I remember Chris or Claire in the next one either, to be fair, so it's not like he's alone.
Yeah. Watching all of these together, it is kind of wild just how disconnected they feel. Like,
oh yeah.
I guess maybe the first two feel maybe the most in sync, but yeah, the third one is completely its own thing, and then this one just feels like, yeah, where it's basically just ignoring the third one, and yeah, it's just very like incompetent. Like, there's so much stuff that's setup that has no real point or payoff.
They're in the prison. They're talking about, oh, we want to get out of here. And the big revelation when they start talking about the sanctuary, because they've heard the distress call as well, is the reveal is that the sanctuary is not a town, even though there is a town in Alaska with the name. And I don't remember what the name was, so that's why I'm not saying it.
It's like Arcadia or something.
Oh, Arcadia, that's it, right? So Arcadia is maybe a town in Alaska, but the fact that they went there is kind of a coincidence, because the actual Arcadia that's a haven for people is a boat, it's a ship, and they can see it here with some binoculars off the coast of the land. I don't know why that was a weird sentence. But they can see it in the distance. Like, oh, we have to get to that. How do we get there from here? Well, we can't use the plane because it can only take 2 people, and like landing it on the roof once was a miracle. So we have to try and find some other way of getting there. Chris claims that he knows a way out, that he can get them probably underground or something, blah, blah, blah. And they don't know if they want to trust that. But of course, as this is all happening, all the chaos starts going down. The first thing that happens actually with action inside the prison is that there's another character who is guarding Chris, whose name is Wendell, who's an actor, Fulvo Cersei? Caesar? Cassier? I don't know how to say his name. But I know that guy's face. He's been in a few things as a character actor. But he's like a creep, because when Alice is told there's running water, it's cold, but it's there. And there's like a weird flirty moment between her and Luther, where Luther's like, I guess I'll leave you to it then. And she's like, yeah, I guess you should. And I'm like, okay, are we trying to set up a romance here, or are we just... Or, I mean, it's notable that Paul Anderson writes his romantic lines the same way he writes his action lines. They're all just kind of like, you know, like one-liner kind of things. But yeah, she's like getting ready to go for a shower, and she hears a noise, and it's this Wendell guy who's like hiding behind some boxes, trying to like cop a look. So as this is happening, though, one hole in the bathroom that the zombies have dug through, suddenly there's like 3 zombies in the room in different parts of the room, which just feels a bit of a cheat. But they're based on the ones from 5, because they've got the opening mouths that open into 4 kind of like flower petal looking kind of shapes. And it gets Wendell. Wendell gets his face grabbed by one of them. And yeah, so this lets them know that their time is running out, because the creatures are starting to get inside. So they have to start planning to leave, yada yada yada.
Yeah, and the special effects, like the CGI or whatever for their mouths, also looks pretty bad.
Yeah,
no surprise, but yeah,
that's fair. So whilst they're trying to get ready to leave, the executioner, the big guy with the big axe, he's like coming to smash in the gate.
And so I was gonna ask, because he kind of looked familiar, but I wasn't quite sure. So you were saying that is a guy from 5?
Yeah, he's the big enemy in the first area in 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Because I couldn't remember specifically if it was like, okay, is that like an actual guy, or are they kind of, I don't know, just taking like trying to make a guy similar to, you know, like the big guys we see. So I don't know. I guess that's something that they're using it from the games.
Yeah, he's trying to break in. This is also where Bennett like betrays them and shoots Angel, and then goes and steals the plane to get away. That's once they all get up to the roof, though, because during this is when Alice and Chris and the other girl who can swim to try and get to the armory to get some weapons. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this stuff. The big thing when it all goes down, though, is that there's more slow motion. There's like throwing guns to Alice and all that when they're on the roof. But the big set piece at the end of this section is in the shower room, the big shower room that we saw before. Is the executioner gets in here, and it's Claire and Alice who are left to take him on. Alice actually gets knocked out at the start of this fight, so shockingly Claire gets to do something on her own for like a minute. But it's the same shit that Alice does. It's her she runs up a wall and does a backflip in slow motion, and then she lands in the superhero pose in the ultra slow motion as like all the water's like sprinkling like rain, and it's all like coming down around her, and she's like posing in like I just landed in my superhero pose. It's really bad.
So I was kind of confused because I was like, well, wait a minute. I thought that like the reason that Alice could do all this like crazy stuff was because she had, basically like the superhuman powers. But yeah, Claire's basically fighting the same way that Alice does. I'm like, oh, like.
Yeah. Although, having said that, she ultimately does lose, and then Alice has to come in and save her. We literally get a shot of Alice holding out her shotgun and Claire standing by her side, like looking on as if she's been protected by her. So just to really hit the whole Alice is the chosen one thing home just a little bit more. And Alice has got like coins loaded in her gun, so like the coins all scatter when she like fires it. So that's another thing. Anyway, so you brought up something that I want to circle back to though. You mentioned her superhuman powers. Because I'd forgotten about this, because the movie forgets about this, is in the opening scene, right, when she's going after Wesker, there's a moment where she uses her like telekinetic powers to basically do like a sort of, not an earthquake, but like kind of like breaks the ground in front of all the soldiers away. So it sort of like, all crumples up like a wave and they all go down. That's right, she had telekinetic powers in the last one. Remember the scene with the fire and the crows and making the motorbike float? So is there anything in the rest of this movie where she uses her telekinetic powers for anything once?
No, not at all.
No, not once. Which is why I forgot that they were even a thing. It's just because you said superhuman powers, and I went, oh yeah, she had those, and I don't think there was any reason why she lost them.
I think in the Wikipedia they mentioned something about her losing powers, but again, I don't know how or why. Like, I mean, again, if that is supposed to be a big plot point or something, like, you think they would focus on it a bit more. But yeah, I guess she's not moving stuff with her mind anymore, but she's still like doing all like the super moves. And
if you're going to do that as a major plot point, you'd think you'd be doing it so that she feels more vulnerable, so that things are more of a challenge. But nothing in this movie ever feels like a challenge for our goddess Alice, who can do anything and take any enemy on. Like, there's no vulnerability at all. It never feels like a struggle. It never feels like she's just, trying to survive and barely scraping through. She just, she's a Terminator, practically.
I mean, that's the whole point of the games. There's survival horror. So, the whole thing is that, like, you're playing as regular humans. I mean, yeah, you're very fit and have weapons and all this stuff, but it's still like, yeah, at any time you could potentially die. And then this, it's she's unstoppable. So like that just means there's no tension, there's no horror to any of it.
Yeah, which,
she's always going to be okay.
It's a valid point in comparison to make to the games because it's based on the games. But I would like to point out though that this also just applies to all fiction, like not just things that are supposed to be survival horror. Like there has to be threat, there has to be a struggle from the main character to make it matter, and that they might be in trouble, and therefore it's something to overcome. She never overcomes jack shit in this movie. It's she just stands there and shoots or does some flips and there's slow motion and whatever else. Anyway, they run through a bunch of like pipes or sewer system stuff to try and get to the coast. By this point, they've lost most of the characters. Luther gets grabbed just as they're leaving one of the big pipes. So he's left behind, but he's not actually dead, as we see later. Not that anything important happens with him. He just kind of shows up and yells a little bit. The other characters get on a speedboat and go out to the big ship. Now, it was made clear earlier on that this boat was broadcasting the signal saying, hey, this is Arcadia, we can offer you safe haven, blah, 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 blah. But it stopped like 2 days ago, which to me, given that I'm watching a zombie movie, says, well, something happened on the boat and they're all dead, right? But they still want to go out there. They find all the equipment and they're like, why is it deserted? What's going on? And they end up going down into like the main kind of cargo area, which is basically the entire inside of the ship. And it's this big ultra sci-fi looking like clean white like fortress inside the ship, which is where most of her finale is going to take place. It turns out they've got a bunch of people who are frozen in cryopods, and they've all got these scarabs over them. And it's like, oh, they're keeping the survivors to test on them. Kmart's one of them. Let's get Kmart up. So they wake up Kmart. They pull off the scarab thing off of her, and maybe she remembers soon or not. It's hard to tell, to be honest. But they're waking up all these pods. But then Alice goes through to the next big chamber in this ship. It's a very, very long ship. And the door opens, and Wesker's sitting there, and it's Resident Evil 5 Wesker. He's got the black coat, the sunglasses. He can control the zombie dogs by command, who then split open like the zombie dogs in the game, and then in number 5 specifically. So again, there's more RE5 stuff. He also has his superpowers from 5, where he's zooming around later on, and it looks, of course, very silly, as does him throwing his sunglasses at the camera in slow motion, just for extra shits and giggles. And yeah, like, they do a thing here where Claire and Chris get basically tricked into like cryopods where they get shoved out of the way so that it can just be Alice versus Wesker for a scene. I mean, the guy that betrayed them shows back up because he made it here in the plane, and he's sworn his allegiance to Wesker, apparently. And he's like pointing a gun at Alice, and it's a whole thing. But then Kmart shows up and like shoots him. Because he's like, who the F for you? Because he has no idea who Kmart is, and she just like shoots him. And then, again, for like the 4th time in the movie, someone throws a gun in slow motion to Alice, who, you know, catches it and then starts blasting. So anyway, I started blasting. That's Alice's MO in these movies. So yes, she fights Wesker, kind of wins, but he's not quite dead yet. The others come back up from the cryopods. And then there's a scene where both Claire and Chris just fire their gun into Wesker like 50 times.
That was actually pretty funny, like, because again, it's just so like nonchalant, like the way they're doing it. Like
they try and sell this thing when they first come in the room where Wesker's like, Claire and Chris Redfield, you two have been a thorn in my side. And I'm like, in these movies, how have they been a thorn in your side? Like in the games, yes, but like you're trying to like, it's like they're trying to like get the payoff for, Wesker and Chris are finally going to face each other, but Chris means nothing in these movies. Wesker barely means anything in this movies. He's just been here longer than Chris, and like, the showdown's actually going to be him and Alice anyway. So you don't get any of this. You don't get any of the credit. You don't get any of the payoff. You earn none of it. And you don't, and it's not even like they give us a fight between Wesker and Chris that feels like it's big on its own right. But, like, you know, it's well choreographed. No. He gets shoved to the side like within a minute, so it can be just Wesker and Alice, because that's all Paul Anderson cares about is Alice winning.
It all feels like there's a separate movie going on that is more focused on the game characters that we only see glimpses of, because like, oh no, we're watching Alice's movie, but there is this whole other like Resident Evil movie where like Chris and Claire are the protagonists and they're in this war with Wesker and stuff, but we don't see any of that because we're just focusing on Alice. It's I don't know, it's just astonishing to me, like the level that we're dealing with these movies, just like how poorly made they are.
Yeah, flips and shit.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Wesker does kind of get away, but Alice rigged his plane to blow, so they enjoy watching his plane blow up, and they're like, yes, now we're all, and all the people have been walking their cryopods, so there's all these people in white like tops just walking around the top of the ship on the deck, and it's like, we saved all these people. And then they do a whole hopeful moment where Alice like grabs the microphone and says, we're going to start broadcasting again, and now she's the one saying, this is Arcadia, we can offer you safe haven, we've got food and shelter. I'm like, do you have food? Did you check the ship to see if there's actually food there? It feels like a big promise. So it's ended as if this is a happy ending that's closing off the loop between 3 and 4, where it's like, hey, we brought up this safe haven, the last one, and then by the end of this one, Alice is going to turn it into a reality. Hurrah. However, there's lots of big scary helicopters coming towards you. Cut to black. However, there's a mid-credit sequence like a minute later that reveals that on one of those choppers is Jill from the second movie, but with the blonde hair and the scarab. And notably, she was the one that actually had the scarab on her chest in Resident Evil 5. And she's like giving orders to the troops saying, we have to find these outlaws from Umbrella, Chris Redfield, Claire Redfield, and Alice. take them at any cost. And like, first of all, her acting here is absolutely atrocious. She's just trying to be sexy while she's saying all this, and it comes off so fake. But secondly, what's the betting, Tim? What's the betting? This cliffhanger is not what the entire next movie's about. What's the betting that either it's dealt with in 10 minutes, or it's just like maybe it's already happened and it's like, oh, because I don't think Chris or Claire are in the next one, so I feel like they're just going to say, oh yeah, they took down Chris and Claire, so sad, or something.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I missed this credit sequence because as soon as those credits popped up, I was out of there. I'm like, all right.
Do you know what the funny thing is, Tim? Is I let it play for a minute because I knew, or I remembered seeing Jill, and I'm like, wait, we didn't see Jill yet. Why was she not there? Is it a mid-credit scene? So I let it play, and it was. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They always have like some little cliffhanger to these movies, but like you said, yeah, it's never like a big setup for the next movie. It's just something that's very quickly resolved or like forgotten. So it just feels like pointless. Like, who cares?
Yep. Because I remember what the main plot of the next one is, and it's not about fighting this army, right? It's not this at all. So, you know, I guess we'll see. The next one's kind of the wild one, though, because I remember the trailer coming out for the next one, and it's got like several characters who were dead, like showing up, and it's like, oh, okay, how's this happening? Also, the next one has a Barry. The next one has a Leon, I think. I want to say, and an Ada. Okay. There's an Ada next time too.
All tastefully done and very reminiscent of their characters from the game, I'm sure. So yes, I'm seeing a couple other names, but I won't spoil them. But I'm mentioning those ones because okay,
well, you know, what keep you tantalized for next time, you know.
I can't wait.
Yeah, the movie sucks. Like, I mean, I like at this point, like the complaints are always the same. Like, I think that's fair to say at this point. It's always super thin characters who are just trying to sound cool, but everything has no weight to it because nothing matters. There's no story to care about. There's no character arcs or depth. There's no just basic storytelling stuff that's followed where, you know, sets up where we have to go, or the thing we have to accomplish. Characters have to problem solve their way out of dealing and getting to that point. None of that really happens here. They set up stuff that just flat out just does not go anywhere. It's almost like stuff is just done because Paul Anderson knows that characters are supposed to have something that makes them unique. So he's like, okay, so this guy's got this attitude and this woman's got this backstory, but it's not enough. You also have to then have it factor into what they do for the rest of the movie in some way. There has to be some kind of payoff to some of this stuff. And it's almost just like, well, I can't have just a bunch of characters who have nothing to them, so I'll set up that Chris is kind of scary and we can't trust him, but then, oh, I'm not interested in actually doing that, though. I'm not interested in actually doing scenes where he earns their trust in some way or another. It's I don't know. It's baffling to me in every conceivable level. It's absolute trash, and I'm happy we're now 2/3 through this journey. We've got 2 bad ones left, and we have to get up to date before the new one comes out. Now, we already did Welcome to Raccoon City, everyone. That's already happened. We did that before we started these ones, so we just have the 2 left. We got Retribution next, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, ditto. I don't know what to say. It's bad. It's bad in every way. It's not just bad as an adaptation. It's just bad as a movie.
Oh yeah, we left bad as an adaptation behind the first one pretty much. Like at this point, we are just in just absolute drizzling shits territory.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm repeating myself. I'm running out of bad things to say about this.
We'll have to do the next one soon then, so you might remember some of what you what you said last time. All right, we can put ourselves out of the misery then. What are you rating Resident Evil Afterlife?
I'm going to give it a very generous 2.5. I don't know. I feel like maybe given maybe a slight bump over the last one. I feel like it was slightly more entertaining, but I mean, I don't know. It's all just shit. There's really not much to cling on here.
Yeah, that's what you give the last one as well, to be fair.
Okay. Well,
I'm also
going to go higher.
Yeah, I'm also going to give what I gave the last one, which was a 2. It's a 2 out of 10. It's terrible. I have nothing positive to say about it. There's no charm in this, right? I don't like, because I can like some dumb movies, but there's something about Paul W.S. Anderson movies that are just obnoxiously like empty of charm. Like, there's no charm to his stuff. It just feels like the most vapid, like, shit imaginable. I hate them. I hate them so much.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like you said, like, it feels like a little kid trying to be cool. It's very juvenile. Like, it's like, oh, wouldn't it be awesome if they do this and that and blah blah. And then yeah, they're not thinking about it in terms of like, satisfying story or character arcs or payoffs or anything.
And not to mention when you go to the next movie, like, oh, we'll take this, and this from the last one, and we'll just ignore everything else that happened in that movie. And it gets even more worse when we get to the next one. Like, oh, we're going to take someone from 3 movies ago and bring them back. Okay, but like the franchise has changed so much since they were here. But I guess they're just here now, and we're just rolling with it. So anyway, that's it. That's Resident Evil Afterlife. We're done. You can support the show and help keep reviews coming, and hopefully happier reviews than this one, but they can't always be, by going to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, or via YouTube membership. You can get access to the bonus episodes we do. There's about 65 of those now, maybe just a little bit under that, for you to check out there. There's also the even more stream segments that we do most weeks, where sometimes it'll be like a little top 5 or a little conversation about something. They're usually about 20 or so minutes long, each of those, but sometimes we do a long one. For example, recently we did like a review of the first episode of Welcome to Derry, and that was like 40 minutes. We did like a Octoberthon wrap up where we talked about everything we watched in October, and that was like 2 hours long. Tim messed up my sleeping pattern for like several days with that bad boy. So yeah, if that sounds like fun, you can get access to all that stuff. But mostly you're supporting the show and help keep it coming. So thank you very much to everyone who does support us. It is always appreciated. Thanks to everyone who's watching or listening. We'll see you guys next time. Keep watching scary movies. My name is not Alice, and I did not work for Umbrella. I did not.